be a language of violence, of bombast, flexible, athletic language, from
Athletic?
which oh, fantastic. The Arabic language is one of the, in my opinion, one of the most extraordinary constructions of the human mind.
Language of poetry.
It's a language of poetry, it's a language of mysticism and theology, it's a language...
That is a pretty crazy statement, especially when you realize who is saying it. Edward Said spent his career studying literature and language at Columbia University. And he wasn't simply saying that Arabic sounds beautiful. He believed there was something unusual about what this language can actually do.
Of law, it's a language of extraordinary humor, for example, and narration. I mean, some of the great feats of narrative skill, the Arabian Nights, the travels of Ibn Battuta, etc., are written in Arabic. So there's that. It's also one of the great religions of the world, which is in Arabic. I mean, the Quran is the word of God in the Arabic
language. And this is something that's easy to miss if Arabic is your first language. The same language can move from poetry to religion to law to science, and then somehow become incredibly funny in everyday conversation. Arabic has this huge range, and part of that comes from the way the language itself is built.
A lot of the attacks and the cultural attacks on the Arabs focus on the language that's considered to be a language of violence, of bombast, of sort of awful pretentiousness. It isn't, in fact. It's a very flexible, athletic language from
athletic?
which the... Athletic? Oh, fantastic.
Athletic. I love that description. Because you normally don't hear somebody call a language athletic. But I understand what he means. Arabic can stretch, compress, rearrange words, and create new meanings while still keeping a recognizable root underneath.
It can do many things.
Many things.
Greek.
Exactly. Most of the great classics of the Greeks came, the scientific classics, the logical classics, the works of Aristotle, came to the West through Arabic translations. I mean, that's how they were known. So,
and then he says something even bigger. Arabic wasn't only producing its own literature. For centuries, it became one of the major languages of scholarship. Greek works in philosophy, medicine, mathematics, and astronomy were translated into Arabic. Muslim, Christian, and Jewish scholars studied them, expanded on them, and some of that knowledge later moved into Latin Europe.
Stylized things.
Right.
But if you look, for example, one of the great creations of the 20th century is the Arabic novel. I mean, Naguib Mahfouz, who won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1988, writes in Arabic that is particular to him because he's an Egyptian writing out of a particular quarter in Cairo. But it is intelligible to, for example, a reader in the Sudan or a reader in Baghdad. And each of these countries has produced its own literature which reflects the architecture, the design of the city, the customs and the traditions of the past, for example, the relationship between a certain religious tradition that is unique to the Sudan or to Iraq or to Egypt. Those things are very much part of the life, the everyday life of the, and they're completely hidden, you see, from the American, to the American public.
And this part is fascinating because Arabic has a strange situation today. A Moroccan, an Iraqi, and a Yemeni can sound incredibly different in normal conversation. Sometimes so different that you start wondering whether we're all pretending to speak the same language.
Syrian is very different from a Moroccan. There are regional accents, there are traditions completely local to various parts of the Arab world, traditions of dress, of cuisine, of accent, of dialect, of history. I think that's the most important thing. To think of Arabs as just one large group of screaming fanatics who are practically faceless is, I think, the first myth that has to be set against the reality. The second one is that it is, and this is the most important to me, difference between the cliche and the reality, is that the Arabs are the inheritors of an extraordinary civilization, one that stretches back now in its modern forms for about 1.5 millennia. First of all, there's the language. The Arabic language is one of the, in my opinion, one of the most extraordinary constructions of the human mind.